Hello, everyone. I want to introduce myself. My name is Jason Castro John, and I'm going to be talking today about my school finance 101. We're going to be talking about the budget here at the school that I have done some of the research and some of the interviews with some other people, such as the school finance manager, which is Mr. Holland, and also the superintendent, Mr. Carr. I've also talked to some of the principals here, such as Mr. Chavez, who is the junior high principal, Coach Khan, who is the high school principal, and Mrs. McCown, who is the elementary principal. So, here in the following presentation, I would like to explain to my colleagues the manner in which I have researched school finance 101. The following topics that I plan to explain in this presentation in Stanton ISD, how the budget relates to my Finance 101 is going to be over Tier 1, Tier 2, and Chapter 41. So before I even start talking about my presentation, I want to give you a little one-on-one information of Stanton ISD. Stanton consists of a small town of 3 to 4,000 people. So most of the school is created under one main facility, which means that we are going to have um, kindergarten through fifth grade in one building, and that is considered elementary. Our junior high is sixth, seventh, and eighth, and our high school is considered 9, 10, 11, and 12. So it is very different compared to these other districts that surround the area. For example, it's Millen. As we all know, Millen and Odessa, they generate a different type of structure than we do. So I wanted to give that one-on-one information so you can kind of follow along with me and kind of see the difference so that you wouldn't get lost. So now let's go and continue. Tier 1. Tier 1 of the FSSP is made up of various programs including regular basic education, special education, career, technical, bilingual, English as a second language education, compensatory education, gifted and talented education, public education, grants, transportation, and new instructional facilities. Okay, so as we can see, Tier 1 basically focuses our budget, focuses on some of these special programs that we have to provide aid to and for these students. So now, if we continue on our slide here, this is some of the information that I have gathered from the schools, and this is the way they have implemented the school right now. So as you can see right now, we don't have any currently bilingual students. All the students that are bilingual are considered ESL right now. They do plan to retest those students at the end of this year and further will decide if they need to implement new positions to hire bilingual teachers so that we can provide those students with the proper learning instruments. So now, if we look at our ESL students, we do have 10 students that are considered from junior high to high school to be considered ESL students. We don't have, like I said, most of our schools here, most of the students that we have in ESL in elementary, they are considered right now in the pull-out program, which means that they are taken out of class 1 or 2 hours daily and are given one-on-one teaching with those teachers. We do have one student who falls under the special needs. This little young girl suffers from autism, so in regards to the budget, we have to provide um, that position to a teacher who is always going to be there for this student. One day I was able to spend a day at the elementary, and I did notice that the young girl was always with that person, even at lunchtime. She would sit with her at lunchtime and provide aid to her in regards to feeding her and stuff like that. So this is something that needs to be implemented into our finance budget 101. These are something that this is a position that normally we don't have, we don't need it, but in this situation, fortunately, we do have to have it. We also provide some of the programs for pregnant teens. And one of the famous programs that we provide here at Stanton ISD is called GAP, Graduation Assistant Program. This was implemented from the high school counselors and also with Howard College, which is in Big Spring, Texas. This program was, like I said, it was implemented mainly for pregnant teens, but now here lately, they have also been sending gentlemen Um, and this program, like I said, it's a program that was uh, that was created so that people would be able to graduate. They attend every day for 8 hours, just like they would go to high school, but except that they have to drive their own personal vehicles. They don't get any transportation from the school. We also provide CREG meetings. These are meetings that are created from the district that surround Stanton ISD, such as Greenwood. Sometimes Midland ISD participates in this, but Grady, Coahoma, Forsyth, and Sands, all these schools participate. Now, what exactly is our CEG meeting? CREG meetings are created for students who suffer from disciplinary actions. These are students who either have been in probation or have been having trouble lately with the law. These meetings are created in Big Spring. In these meetings, you do have probation officers that attend, counselors, uh, principals from the districts that surround the area, and the parents. Sometimes the student will be asked to attend, but the majority of the time they prefer that he doesn't attend so that he doesn't get affected and he doesn't get overwhelmed from all the counselors and all these probation officers trying to help him. So these meetings are created so that, like I said, so that they can find solutions to the problems that the student is having. This is something that needs to be implemented in the budget so that, like I said, here our main focus is to provide the help and the aid for these students. Okay, now let's look at tier two. I'm sorry. Tier 2 provides a guaranteed yield. This guaranteed yield is guaranteed the level of funding as it dependent to the water. This is a weighted average of daily attendance. The income is state generated as well as federal and is directly linked to a taxing process. This process entails that the water corresponds to each cent of tax effort above the tax effort required to meet the LFA. Sorry, I have a cough. But tier 2 pretty much, what it pretty much implements in our budget is that It, it, it consists of the attendance of the student. The more the student comes to class, the more money that the state gives the district for the attendance of the student. So now here, this was the enrollment, and we can see here the enrollment in 2013 was 861. Now, this is pretty abnormal because whenever I actually talked to Mr. Carr, who's the superintendent, the superintendent stated that he has observed a huge increase in the amount of students within the past several years. He informed me that the average for this district here is normally 721, but because of the oil boom, he has seen a large increase of students, especially in elementary. He has seen approximately, he says as of right now, just kindergarten and first grade has approximately 100 students per class. I'm sorry, not 100 students per class, 100 students in the whole grade, which means that they only have 4 teachers. So each teacher's probably having about 25 to 26 students. So these are classes that are very big for a lot of these teachers. So he says that he has seen big dramatic change in these types of situations, so that we need to focus on our budget for the following school year. Now, Stanton ISD, like I said, as a result, let's look at some of the pros now. As a result of these students coming in, like I said, the more students that we have, the more money that we get from the state. So, Stanton ISD passed a $9 million bond in May of 2009, and this was utilized to the construction of new auditoriums, tennis courts, high school signs, and elementary wings. Now, Superintendent Mr. Carr said that the district plans to move the kindergarten and the first grade to the new elementary wing, which is currently partially underground. Now, the reason why they're going to do this is because the past several years, the underground facility or wings at Stanton Elementary has seen mold growing, and also many times when it rains, they have seen leaks come in through the walls. So they have, as of this year, they have completely shut those wings down, moved all these students into the new wings that was created by this bond. So these are considered two of the new wings in the whole school. So now what they put now because of that they passed a school bond in 2014, which is $45.9 million bond. What does this consist and what is it going to take care of? This bond is going to be it's going to create construction, acquisitions, and renovation of the whole school, improvement equipment of the school. Now, some of the buildings where they're going to mainly focus and make it a priority is going to be they're going to have a new high school, new competition gymnasium. Now, the reason why they're going to add a new competition gymnasium, they're actually going to add two, one at the high school and one in elementary, is because they want to create revenue in these two competitive gymnasium. Here in Stanton, in December, we do have a famous tournament called Hooptown. And whenever I spoke to Coach Gordon, which is a high school basketball coach, he informed me that as of right now, the tournament consists of 16 teams, but they want to expand that tournament and make it a 32 team tournament. So this would allow revenue to come into the school. Now, what do they have to have? They have to have these new facilities so that schools can actually want to play in these facilities, and it generates revenue for the school. So, besides the gymnasium, it's going to create a new track and football field, a new elementary and middle school. Okay, it is going to create new disciplinary alternative building, which means that you're going to have a new ISS building, which is an in-school suspension building, and it's also going to have an AEP, which is an alternative education institution. So this money is also going to provide the money to purchase some of the sites for the new schools. Okay, it's going to provide new maintenance in the new warehouse, new buildings. Okay, so now here let's go back and think about whenever we were talking about tier two. We need to find the commitment and the inspiration to each student's attendance to school. Like I said, the more that we have our students attend to school, the more money that we can revenue from the state that will allow us um, to give those students back new facilities, new technology, state of the art um, gymnasiums. So we need to find ways to motivate them and not have them be absent several times or even regular during the school year. So and we know that most of the time these students who are having trouble attending schools are students who are having domestic problems. So we need to find ways in which we can talk to the parents and also the students so that we can find a solution so that they can come to school. Not only because we want to generate this revenue, but also because it is for the students. They are actually the ones that are getting the education. And we want to make sure that they do. Okay? And now we're going to talk about chapter 41. This law was implemented so that the schools with the highest revenues can share the wealth with lower income schools. This law is also known as the Robin Hood. One of the schools that I want to talk about is, for example, Millen ISD. Millen ISD, as we know, has are very rich schools because they have all these companies, oil companies in particular, that provide aid, that provide help to these schools. So a lot of these smaller schools, such as Greenwood, Stanton, Grady, etc., they uh, they 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 use the Robin Hood as a budget to create new facilities or even new things that they need um, for their schools. So now because of that, I want to jump into and talk about what copper pennies are. Copper pennies are any cent of tax that effort that generates above the compressed tax rate plus 6 cents. The school board can attain copper pennies only after they have levied their 6 golden pennies in conjunction to having had successful tax ratification election. Sorry, resulting in a raise of the MO tax rate. Copper pennies are subject to recapture and are classified as copper due to generating less funds than the golden ones. So now let's look at the golden pennies. The golden pennies, these first 6 cents of tax effort a district access above its compressed tax rate. School boards may leave out the first 4 golden pennies with the majority vote of the board, but are required to hold a meeting before raising the tax rate. Any further, they are not subject to recapture from the state as opposed to the copper ones. These pennies are called golden because they are the highest level of generated tax related funding. Most of the time, we see what we call golden and the copper pennies whenever we are trying to create bonds. We will see this, for example, whenever we are having our school board meetings. You will be hearing a lot of these types of copper and golden pennies. So, um, so how does this revolve in our budget finance 101? Like I said, this is something that focuses on the school board. So these are the school board actually are the ones that decide if we need to tax our people more money, and even if we actually need to pass these bonds. So with that said, I hope that you enjoyed my presentation, and thank you very much.